I'm not a big fan of slice of life. I'm not a big fan of cute girls doing cute things. I'm not a big fan of moe. That is a quote from one of the worst videos I have up on this channel, if not the worst one. It's a quote that a number of people took issue with, and honestly I've been thinking about it ever since, not constantly, but occasionally. In particular, I've been thinking about this idea that I apparently don't like slice of life as a genre, at least if what I said then is to be believed, but my feelings about that are really a lot more complex than a simple I don't like it. There's a metric shit ton of slice of life anime coming out, especially in recent years. On one hand, it may seem that being a slice of life fan would be better than ever, but on the other hand, it makes watching all of it a lot harder. Then there's the fact that when there's more of something, there's also naturally going to be more bad stuff. So sure, there may be more slice of life, and while that may lead to a larger number of enjoyable slice of life experiences overall, it will also lead to a lot of more poor experiences with the genre if you try to engage with as much of it as possible. This makes it pretty easy to just pop over to my anime list and click it so that it doesn't show you any slice of life shows and, just convince yourself that you don't like that stuff anyway. After all, the pool of new stuff to choose through is nearly cut in half. But if I'm going to ignore stuff from this genre entirely, it better give me a pretty good idea of what I'm leaving behind, and honestly, it just doesn't. Slice of life is used by many to describe a multitude of things. Some people use it to describe episodic series. Some use it to describe series where the plot takes a backseat to the characters. Some use it to describe a relaxed tone, and some use it to describe pretty much anything, evidently. Now, we could definitely engage in a discussion about the problems with this and dive into what slice of life really means, but this is a surprisingly complex topic. While many will tell you that the definition of slice of life is simple, since it is after all just a slice out of a character's life, most shows tend to be that, or at least have some elements of that. And I don't think anyone would claim that it's useful to use a genre tag to describe every show that comes out. We could turn to plays like Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, or novels like J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye. However, listing off works will by no means give us a definition of what slice of life is, and reading some articles online won't either. Slice of life isn't porn, you don't just know it when you see it. The fact of the matter, at least in the usual way that this is discussed, is that opinions weigh heavily into this, and so do subgenres. However, one common problem is that people conflate slice of life with anime that are set in school, which, while I can kind of understand how that could happen, doesn't really make all that much sense. There's an incredibly large catalog of anime that take place largely in high school, or at least have good chunks of it that are devoted to high school sections, and the idea that they would all be, or even that most of them would be, slice of life shows just doesn't make sense. Still, many slice of life anime do take place in schools, so maybe it would make some sense for those people who don't enjoy slice of life to just limit their consumption by specifically avoiding slice of life anime that take place in school. But I also know that some of the shows I really enjoy either use high school as their primary setting, or just have large sections where high school plays a major role, and actually, one of my favorite shows in particular is a comedic, relaxing slice of life series that takes place there. Tanaka-kun is Always Listless is a show that I really love. As far as I'm concerned, it's the perfect show to just chill out to, with its charming characters, soft color palette, and its polished and uncluttered backgrounds. Everything about the show is comfy, from its humorous character interactions to the sound design and soundtrack. See, the show's protagonist just wants to sleep, and he will go to very extreme lengths to take a nap. If the show even took place in a setting that's only slightly different, but a bit more serious, like maybe college for example, his constant lethargy would go from being a humorous flaw of a charming character who is just a bit too immature to being a big flaw that could ruin this guy's whole life if he fails his college courses. Now, if they changed the setting, that's not to say that they couldn't get around this potential seriousness that I'm bringing up. Of course they could. That's just an example of something that could happen, I guess. But the big thing is just that every show is unique and has its own way of dealing with these conflicts. But using a school setting definitely works here, in this show. In addition to this, there's the fact that I hated school, which is probably part of the reason that I'm not a big fan of some melodramatic slice of lives that take place there. Not all of them, just some of them, on a case-by-case basis. Maybe it's just because those kind of serve as a reminder of what my high school experience was really like, and generally I don't want to deal with those obnoxious memories. This, though. This would have been the ultimate high school experience for me. Just chilling out and relaxing with some goofy buddies. It creates a sort of nostalgic escapism for me, and although escapism tends to have a negative connotation for many people, I think it is, in reasonable doses, quite therapeutic. Needless to say, I highly recommend watching the show, but You know, of course it isn't for everyone. You might enjoy it, you might not. My point is just that if I had gone and avoided all anime with the slice of life tag, or anime that take place in high school or middle school or any sort of school, there's no way that I would have ever had a chance of seeing this show, and who knows what other enjoyable shows I would just miss out on because of my weird, specific decision. Honestly, after considering the whole topic a lot more, I've realized that a show's genre or setting have very little to do with how much I'll enjoy the series. In fact, it might have nothing to do with it, and neither has hearing about the characters or the plots in a show really swayed my decision as far as how much I'm gonna like them. Anime, just like all works of narrative art, is about how these elements come together, not how they work individually, and all of us have different things to focus on and think about, and we hone in on different aspects of shows that we like or don't like. That's not to say that criticism of a show has no value or that certain shows aren't more likely to be enjoyed than others, but what I'm saying is this. Genre really just seems like a descriptor, not a measure of quality, and from now on I definitely won't be saying things like I'm not a big fan of slice of life to preemptively shut down what enjoyment I may have been able to gain from a series, or to pretty lazily explain away why I wasn't a big fan of something. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed this kind of follow-up to a very old video. I want to take a second to thank all of my patrons over on patreon.com, and just to thank you for watching this whole video. And for any comments you might leave down below, I hope that if you enjoyed it, you'll give it a like. If you didn't enjoy it, give it a dislike and let me know why you didn't enjoy it. So, I hope that you have a fantastic day, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.